Fighting games have been a mainstay in the gaming consciousness longer than most genres can make claim to. While normally violence is looked down upon as a non-solution to many of life's problems, many people would be hard-pressed to say that they don't enjoy the almost cathartic release the unapologetic, over-the-top combat fighting games gives to its players. Both inside and outside of the medium, fighters have become the lifeblood of the gaming community, to the point that even those without any gaming knowledge can recognize the motions. The variety of locales and fighting styles is ever-evolving, some more than others. From Shoryukens and Hadokens, to wave dashes and X-bursts, fighting games have come a long way since their revolution in '91 with the release of Street Fighter II, and have grown past the ranks of simply being games. However, can the same be said for the fighters themselves? With the fighting genre being as old and widespread as it is, some would argue that it has an obligation to broaden its roster to show a variety more in line with its fan base. As realistic as some fighting games try to be, their inherent anti-realism allows them much more freedom to diversify. However, were you to ask any seasoned fighting veteran if they felt that the rosters of any game were diverse, you'd be met with, at best, a solid eh. And, unfortunately, that's probably the best way to describe it. In fighting games where the goal is to emulate realistic fighting styles, with or without flourishes, the styles and characters are indeed brought from a variety of places, ranging from the Americas all the way to the Asian Isles. Since most fighting games focus on world tournaments, the fighters presented are often meant to be representative of the best practitioners of those styles, like Dao Zim for yoga, or Zangief for wrestling. It would make sense to utilize a character reminiscent of the creator of that style. However, that gets thrown out the window when you have characters like Ken Masters and Andy Bogard, two archetypical American characters shown as masters of Asian martial arts. When the numerous amounts of white and Asian characters are allotted diverse personalities and fighting styles, it only serves to make it all the more disheartening when the same minority archetypes are created. For example, Dance Fighter. Dance Fighter, hyperly masculine boxer. Hyperly masculine boxer. Hyperly British masculine boxer. Dance Fighter. Dance Fighter.
So you're the one standing in my way.
And would you look at this, another Dance Fighter.
Feel like dancing.
Let's do this. Fight.
Do you see what I mean? And while there are certainly notable exceptions to those lists, such as Raven from Tekken, a Canadian ninja, Sean Masuda, a Brazilian martial artist, and Lisa Hamilton, a character who holds the rare title of being a black American luchadora, the ratio is heavily unbalanced. Despite the rather archetypical portrayal of minority characters in fighting games at the moment, the fact that they appear as frequently as they do now is only a good thing, as it lays the foundation for the future of the medium. Black culture in particular has seen a notable growth in popularity, with games like Anarchy Reigns, which has an entire soundtrack composed solely of original rap music, Street Fighter Third Strike using hip-hop songs and instrumentals throughout the game, Tekken Tag Tournament 2, which features an original stage and song dedicated to the series and features Snoop Dogg himself.
The next battle. Fist like Tekken. Jump kick, put tips on you in a second. Ready for the battle. You can pick the weapons. God fist combo. Here comes the blessing.
And the Def Jam series, a critically well-received fighter that pits rappers and hip-hop icons against each other in an original story that is more concise and well-presented than most other fighting games.
You want a shot at me, you gotta make it past these brothers. It's a dangerous world out here. Seems every time I turn around, there's another young buck wants to take me on. I lay down for no man. You want to take what's mine, you gotta beat me. But nobody ever beats me.
So as you can see, while there's no question that minorities could definitely have more of a presence in the fighting genre, both in quantity and quality, there's no denying that their presence is there.
Desperate fighting program amongst high school students.
Be the manliest of all men! Come on down!
One of the biggest problems a lot of games have, particularly crossover games like Dissidia, Marvel vs. Capcom, or Smash Bros., is the lack of ethnic minority representation. However, there are many factors that go into determining who can or cannot appear in these games, as well as who is even valid for suggestion. Many would argue, though, that despite the frequency of certain minority archetypes, there are still more stereotypes than there are types of women, that type being thin-waisted, giant-busted women, to which I have to say, while yes, for the sake of pure aesthetics, I will concede that there are some rather shamelessly created women fighters, such as the infamous Mai Shiranui, Soul Calibur's overseas mascot Ivy, and the entirety of the Mortal Kombat and Dead or Alive series, there are just as many fighting games that feature a wide variety of non-sexualized female characters that simply aren't talked about. Take King of Fighters, for instance. One of the most popular targets for examples of misogyny in gaming, the first two thoughts that come to mind is Mai Shiranui, and though it's plain to see that she isn't the most reasonably dressed character to ever exist, she also isn't the only female character in the game. The most recent iteration may be uneven in the male to female ratio, but it simply cannot be said that there is no growth not only in the presentation of the characters, but in their variety as well. Now, Soul Calibur is... okay, so Ivy may be bad, but there's a male character that's just as bad, and... moving on then, there's Mortal Kombat. In the first game, there was only one female character out of the 8 named Sonya Blade. In the game, she wears a green tube top and yoga pants. Not exactly the most battle-worthy attire, sure, but it's functional and fits with the ridiculousness of the other fighters in the game. Surely over time her outfit and the women after her would only get better. Okay. For real this time. Dead or Alive is a series known for unashamedly exploiting its female characters as a bonus to its fans outside of its decent to skillful gameplay, even going so far as to create several spin-offs based solely around them. Over the years, the series has fluctuated in a state of infamy and ridicule unparalleled by any other game because of this. So when it came time to make their 5th fighting game, Team Ninja had it in their heads to fix the game's reputation. And for the most part, they have, going through and aging up and remodeling several characters, as well as giving the cast more reasonable outfits and...
I can't avoid this fight. I know what I must do.
Okay, you know what? Maybe some games are infamous for a reason. Let's look at some other games instead.
So ephemeral, lightning. Oh, I'll show you how lightning strikes.
While Dissidia, a fighting game based on the popular Final Fantasy mythos, may not be the most racially diverse game, a problem created more by its sources than the game itself, the games showcase its females very well, both in and out of combat. Outside of a few context-sensitive in-jokes...
What are you looking at? Focus!
What's wrong? Frozen by fear's icy grip?
Of course not. No, not at all. Just, I was just admiring your, appearance, is all. Not any particular part of your appearance much.
The female characters are varied and treated appropriately as characters, not breasts with weapons. Another good game hindered by its source material is Persona 4 Arena, though this one is significantly more balanced at an even 50-50 split. With a story emphasis on both male and female protagonists, each character in-game is distinctly different from each other without resorting to sexualizing its characters. Outside of legitimate context, of course.
Teddy, that tickles. Hey! Stop nuzzling your head against me.
Now, Chan, I'm against girls binding their breasts like this.
It's none of your concern. Ugh.
Aw, don't be that way.
A game that was featured in Sarkeesian's Kickstarter that I actively disagree upon, that also happens to be a fighting game of course, is Skullgirls. Like Dead or Alive, Skullgirls is a competent fighter that gets flack for having a cast of sexy women going at each other. I believe this game differs from DOA though, in both presentation and intent. Whereas DOA fumbles at trying to juggle big breasts with big action, Skullgirls was made with its universe in mind, and the girls' appearances and legitimate personalities are a product of that ideal. And while DOA is fully intended to be boobs with some filler to validate it, Skullgirls the game was mere evolution of existing art giving non-fans of his a glimpse into a world of his own design. Outside of the 3 games I mentioned just now, there are plenty of other fighting games that depict their women with as much sensibility and care as any male character in that game. And even though Def Jam certainly doesn't get any feminism points for its female designs, it gets a special mention for showing that women can be just as brutal as any man when fighting for what they want, evidenced by the game's crippling finishers.
Next time, keep your hands to yourself.
Of course, this is all just my own opinion. When asked how they felt about certain characters in games, these gamers had this to say.
Hello, I'm Alex Maria, and I'm in Overkill Land here to ask some average gamers about girls in fighting games. Go ahead.
My name is Bear.
Say it again.
Hi, I'm Brian.
Go ahead.
I'm Chris.
Hi, my name is Eric.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Tony Vega.
Hi, Bear. How you doing?
I'm alright, yourself?
All right. Here's Peach from Super Smash Bros. What is your opinion?
She's beating Mario down right now.
It's kind of weird. She's using her body parts to hit people with...
I think she's broken, but in this particular picture, she's well dressed.
I don't know, that goes by so fast in the game, I didn't even know she did that.
She's blonde, white, I guess. A typical European.
Morgan from Darkstalkers, what's your opinion?
Sometimes a little cheap.
It's not very nice.
Why isn't it very nice?
Showing off body parts that...
Indeed. From Darkstalkers.
Really oversexed.
What about?
The fact that she has, she essentially is not wearing clothes at all. And, the giant boob thing. It's really hard to miss.
Indeed.
I don't know, something based off some folklore, I guess.
Pissed off some folklore.
Yeah, I guess she's supposed to represent some sort of demon or vampire.
That's a pretty classic costume.
Chun-Li from Street Fighter, what's your opinion on her?
Kicks, lots of kicks.
I mean, I guess it's a little better. Still a little too much skin.
Refuse to wear pants.
Actually, that's pretty basic.
It's like a masculine version of an Asian people.
Ivy from Soul Calibur.
Cheap as well. That freaking whip thing.
My skin.
Anything on that?
And her body parts are way bigger than her head.
Wow.
What do you think of that costume? Expand on your thoughts.
Costume? What costume?
Let's see, the proportions are pretty unrealistic. The costume is very unrealistic.
I don't know why they just cover her arm. Might as well just reveal that as well.
Melina from Mortal Kombat.
Is she wearing bandages?
She is wearing bandages. What's your opinion on that?
She might want to put on some clothes. And she might want to get some dental work done.
It's gross. Well, I don't want to look at it anymore.
Why? Very nice, but why?
That is a very different costume from what I remember on the old games. It's like the costume from The Fifth Element.
What do you think of that costume? What do you think?
That costume.
Do you think that's funny? Do you think it's...
just seeing her six-pack is just outrageous. It doesn't even fit. The way her body, she's a female and she's not wearing anything.
Yeah.
She's a six-pack.
Pretty much. All right, thanks, Tony.
It's clear to see that, even now, there is no real answer. Some people find the characters to be disgusting and repulsive, some people find them appealing, and others really couldn't care less. The most prohibitive measure to take, however, is to stop looking. Ignoring the appropriate and vilifying the offensive only serves to diminish the cause, as there should always be more variety, not less. I believe that Skullgirls artist Alex A. Hatt puts it best when he states that, I think the role of a character plays more of a defining element than what they look like. People complain about hourglass-figured female characters, but rarely do they complain about muscular, perfectly fit male characters. And that the real issue comes from what their role and actions are. If a character is a sideline character and their sole purpose is to be a sex object, then it is sexist. However, if the character is a competent contributor to the story, then it is not sexist, even if they look sexy. Looking at a screenshot by itself and judging by the artwork alone is extremely short-sighted.